That's all right. Tucker actually does think it's really fun. It covers an entire body in it. It uses it as a felt repellent, a sunscreen, and a skin moisturizer. And now, despite being a nutball, these pigs are actually relatively clean animals. They choose to relieve themselves and use the restroom away from where they sit and they eat, very similar to us. And now, sadly, back in the 1970s, these pigs were actually endangered. Only 9 purebred Kune pigs left out in the wild. But with the help of successful breeding programs, all right, bye, Tucker. Anyways, well, there he goes. But to finish my spiel, they now have no populations, and we're very happy about that, because he's pretty awesome. All right, well, for our next animal, I'm actually getting help from one of my colleagues backstage, who's also named Lily.
Hi everyone, I'm also Lily. I want to introduce you guys to one of our more colorful guests here at Grants Farm, our macaws. So everyone, this is Indigo. Hi Indigo. All right, well he's looking forward to this maybe. Want to step up, buddy? Good job. All right, well macaws have a lot of key features that make them interesting and help them to survive out in the wild, including their really awesome hands. What's cool hands today? But they have really awesome hands that allow them to climb, run, walk, and do a lot of awesome things, as well as they act like our hands. So they hold on to fruits, nuts, different things like that with their feet. Now they also have a super awesome beak. That beak is wrapped with a layer of keratin, which is the same thing that makes up our fingernails and our hair. And then it's also made up of bone, so it's really strong, and it helps them to balance while they're climbing. They also have a super cool tongue. So while our tongue is made up of tissues and muscle, their tongue is made up of a series of bones. So it allows it to be flexible and rigid, and allows us to tap into those really hard open nuts that we can't break open with our hands.
Now, Lily, talking about Indigo's key characteristics, it's pretty interesting. Don't out there think? Yeah. It's pretty cool to hear about it, right? Right. But does it demonstrating then sound like a lot more fun? Yeah, so I'm going to need help from somebody in our audience who wants to come and play basketball against Indigo. Alright. I'm going to take my friend here in the front row. Yeah, you can go over here and join us on stage. Alright, buddy, what's your name? James, it's nice to meet you, James. I love your shirt. You're welcome. Alright, James, do you think you're pretty good at basketball? Maybe? Alright, will you come join us over here at this hoop on this side? And then here's your 2 balls. You and Indigo are going to get to race to see who can make 2 balls first. Think you can beat him? Yep, you just stand there and try to throw the hoop. Alright, well James, are you ready? Okay, Lily, is Indigo ready? Sure is. Alright, here we go. And 3, 2, 1, shoot! Oh, there's 1 for James. And there's 2 for James. Well, that's our winner. And everyone, you can give them a big round of applause. They just felt awesome. And James, thank you so much. Now you can go tell all your friends that you beat them at basketball. That's a pretty cool fun fact, I think. Well, there you go. Thanks, buddy. Have a good rest of your day. All right, everyone. So, speaking of birds, do any of you happen to know what the most popular farm bird is? A chicken. That's right. So our next guest coming out to our stage is Punky, one of our Polish chickens. Now, Punky's a pretty cool little chicken, and she has some cool things that make her look a little different than the regular chickens that we're used to see on a day-to-day basis. And one of these really cool differences is right there on her head. Those really fluffy feathers that look like a pom-pom are called a top crest, and they can actually get so long that they hinder her vision. So she has to rely really heavily on her great sense of hearing, and being able to see up and down and side to side without having to move her head around a whole lot. And now we know that chickens aren't the kind of birds that fly super high up in the sky. However, Punky can fly some pretty short distances, and she can run really, really fast, up to 9 miles per hour. And I don't know about any of y'all out there in the crowd. I would personally look at Punky in a race. I don't think I could even run 1 mile per hour. So maybe some of you would be able to beat Punky. We'll have to find out something. And now, do any of you know what chickens are known to lay? Eggs, that's right. Now that's not necessarily Punky's strong suit. She'll give us a little egg here and there, maybe 1 a day, but she's a very beautiful chicken, don't y'all think? Oh yeah, so that makes her a great show bird. She gets to come out here, hang out up on this podium, and let us talk to you guys about all the cool things that she can do and get the attention attention that she loves receiving. And now, do any of you have any guesses to where Polish chickens come from? You would think it's Poland, right? But it's actually not. Trick question. They're from the Netherlands and Spain. Polish soldiers, thank you. Polish soldiers have it over and fell in love with that top crest. Grab a whole bunch of feathers off the ground, put them in their helmet to mimic that look. And because of this, Polish chickens are featured in Polish folk art, embroidery, and even literature. And they resemble grace, beauty, and pride. Which, personally, I think Punky's done a great job doing all those things up here for y'all. So you can give her a big round of applause and say, "Hi, Punky!"
Yeah.
Indigo and Echo were a little bit jealous of the attention that Punky was receiving, I think. Now, we got through those first three animals really, really quickly. James gave Indigo a run for his money. That basketball game was really short. I'm a pretty fast talker, so I think we need to take a little bit of a breather and slow things down. Lily, do you have anyone back that can help us with that?
I sure do. Everyone, this is Larry. He is a red-footed tortoise. Now, tortoises are very docile, and they're most active immediately after it rains and during the day. Now, these guys might be pretty slow, but they have a lot of different ways that they can survive out in the wild, including their super amazing shell. Now, everyone in the front row, I'm going to bring around Larry for you guys to feel his shell. But everyone in the back, don't worry, stay seated. He's going to come right back after the show, too. Well, guys, you might notice that he has these super rough scales on his shell. And that actually allows him to be protected from both weather elements as well as predators. Now, tortoises are also known to dig burrows and tunnels out in the wild to protect themselves from that super duper hot sun, as well as from anyone who might want to eat it. Now, these guys also have a super duper great way of staying hydrated in the heat when there's not a lot of water around for them. So what they'll do is they store water in their bladder.
Now, you mentioned that Larry's a tortoise. So would you say that turtles and tortoises are the same, or are they pretty different?
Well, tortoises and turtles are actually very different. So Larry's not a turtle, he's a tortoise. And some of those main differences between turtles and tortoises are actually where they live. Alright, well, these guys are going to live on the land, whereas turtles live in the water. Now, where they live actually also changes the way that their body looks. So my tortoise friend who lives on land has a much more rounded and domed-like shell that allows him to be protected from the weather and anything on land that might want to take a big old chomp. But our turtles are going to have a much flatter and thinner shell that allows them to fly through the water. Turtles have really thick and chunky legs with claws that help them to dig, while turtles have flippers or webbed feet that allow them to swim. Now, they've also got some differences in their diet. So our tortoises are going to be eating mostly plants. They're herbivores, so they eat fruits and vegetables, while turtles are like us, and they eat plants and animals.
That is true. Larry does really love his fruits, everyone.
But more than that, he loves fruit.
That's so true. And strawberries are his favorite, which I think I saw some backstage for him. And I'm going to take him back to get a treat for being such a good boy for all of you. And like Lily said, he is going to be back after the show, so you guys can say, "See you later, Larry."
See you later, Larry.
Well, Larry has a super important message for all of you guys. Now, unfortunately, more than half of the world's turtle and tortoise populations are considered threatened or endangered. So it's up to us to keep these guys around for many future generations by making sure to not disturb their nests if we find them in the wild, to protect their habitats, and as well to educate all of our friends and family on all the different ways they can help too.
Alright, everyone. So our next guest that's out here on stage is this little guy named Herman. Herman here is a hedgehog. Hedgehogs are small mammals that are completely covered in quills, and they're actually nocturnal, so you can see he's trying to hide away and take a little bit of a nap. And being nocturnal means that he likes to sleep all day long and be awake and super active all night long. And now I mentioned that this little guy here is a small mammal completely covered in quills. Do any of you happen to know of a large mammal that's completely covered in quills? A porcupine, that's right. So our next guest who's going to be joining us out here on stage is one of our African crested porcupines, Aisha. And now Aisha is very, very young still. She's just under a year old, so they're still kind of new to the training process. So whenever she decides to come out, hopefully you guys will get to see her. But while we're trying to convince her to join us out here on stage, I'm going to talk about some of their cool similarities and differences. So even though hedgehogs and porcupines are different animals, they do have some things that put them in a similar category. So like I said earlier, Herman is completely covered in quills. So are our porcupines. And they're both nocturnal, which means that they both like to sleep all day. So Asia's probably trying to take a little bit of a nap. This weather's really, really nice for her, so she's like on this lake and gets some sleep in. And they actually both really enjoy swimming because their quills here are actually completely hollow, which allows them to float really, really well in the water. And they have some really cool differences as well, like what they eat. So Herman here is an insectivore, which means that he really likes to eat bugs. His favorite are mealworms, and he gets them every single day, and they are the first thing that he will eat whenever he goes to his food bowl. Our porcupines, on the other hand, are a little bit more vegetarians. They really like to eat different plants and fruits and veggies. Some of Asia's favorites include sweet potatoes, pineapples, and apples. And I'm really glad she decided to join us. She just had to get some of her beauty sleep in. She wanted to look all nice and pretty for everyone out here. And now Herman, I mentioned, is a really small little man. He's covered about 5,000 quills. Asia back there is a lot bigger. Does anyone have any guesses to how many quills she has? You can shout them out at me.
9 million.
30,000 is the correct answer. That's the quickest I've ever had anybody guess. So yes, Asia back there is covered in 30,000 quills. And she actually cannot throw her quills like a lot of people think. So she can't throw them like a basketball or shoot them like an arrow. However, she does release them, and Herman does the same thing. Herman here, if he feels really scared or threatened, he's going to curl up into a little ball, flare all of his quills up, and then release them into that predator's mouth. Which would kind of be like if we put a whole bunch of toothpicks in her mouth and chop down really, really hard. That's what that would feel like. Asia, on the other hand, she'll flare up all of her quills like a peacock flares up their feathers. She'll rattle her little tail made out of quills back up into her predator and release those quills into whatever's nearest to her. But I think that they both did such a great job for you, and like I mentioned, they are nocturnal, so I'm going to take Herman back to let him finish his nap, and Asia did a great job, so you guys can give him a round of applause and say bye. Goodbye, Herman.
Well, guys, this year marks 70 years since Grants Farm has opened its gates out to the public, and our animal education shows have always been one of our favorite parts of bringing in guests. And a staple in those shows has been our macaws. Now, this is because they are incredibly intelligent and great at learning. They've got those beautiful, vibrant colors, as well as they have those really loud vocalizations. Now, everyone, I'd like you to meet Echo. She is a blue and gold macaw. Step up. Well, she's got those beautiful colors. Can anyone guess where these guys come from? Just shout out your answers. The rainforest, I heard it.
New York.
These birds do come from the rainforest, and those beautiful colors help them to blend into all of the vibrant plants in their natural habitat. Now, another thing that these birds rely on to survive out in the wild is their amazing wings. Now, those wings have a wingspan of about 41 to 45 inches long, which is really long, and that helps them to soar through the air. If you're walking through the rainforest and you look up, you might just see one of these guys flying overhead. Now, their super loud vocalizations are also handy out in the wild because that is how they communicate with each other. They communicate with a series of squawks and chirps, and that tells each other where they're at, if they're safe, things like that. Now, a lot of people think that these guys can talk. Well, that's actually kind of not true. They can only mimic. So what they'll do is if they hear something out in their environment, like an animal sound or a sound from nature, they can mimic that, and they can also mimic human voices. However, they can't have their own tone of voice or form their own sentences, but they can copycat what we say pretty well. Now, it doesn't stop these guys from being super intelligent and loving having fun and learning new things. Now, Echo's favorite pastime is America's favorite pastime. It's one of her new activities she's learned, and that is baseball, guys. So, she's become an incredible pitcher over our winter, but there's just one problem. I think she's going to need a batter, everyone.
That's so true. So, who wants to come and do some batting practice on the Echo? Okay. I'm going to pick my friend in here in the front row, the black shirt, black shorts. Yeah. Alright, Betty, what's your name? Kaden, it's nice to meet you. Kaden, are you good at baseball? Yeah, perfect. Alright, so I'm going to have you come stand right over here by our base and I'll grab your bat for you. And then just like in regular baseball, Echo's going to have the opportunity to pitch to you 3 times, unless you hit it before that third pitch comes. So, then you can do that? Yeah? Alright. Well, here's that bat for you. And I'm just going to move you right over here on the side. And then train you right there. Perfect. Alright, so Kaden, are you ready? All right. Is Echo ready? Oh, she is. All right. We're going to get that first pitch. Oh, she's really ready. She's excited. All right, here comes that first pitch. Getting that wound up. Oh, it's so close. That's all right. I think that was a changeup. So we'll have that second pitch come. And load it up. And, oh, even closer. Even closer. This third one's going to be right down the middle for you. I have a feeling. All right, let's see what pitch Echo decides to throw this time. And great! Now take that back from you. Well, I think there's going to need a little bit more practice then because her ball isn't going to strike out and you proved her that you can't do that again. So, alright, thank you.
Well, as you guys can tell, these birds are incredibly intelligent and very beautiful, and a lot of people might think that they would make a great addition to their home as a pet. However, if any of you are considering getting a macaw as a pet, I'd like to advise you that they are a lot of work. They actually can live up into their 70s and 80s, often outliving their owners, and they have the brain power of a 3-year-old. So it's like having a toddler for 80 years. That's a lot. They're also incredibly loud, incredibly stubborn, and they require a lot of time for enrichment and different things like that. So if you'd like to add one of these guys to your homes, please do a lot of consideration. Now, a lot of macaws out in the wild are also considered threatened or endangered. So it's up to us to reduce our waste, recycle whenever we can, and reuse different containers to help keep their environment super safe and healthy for many more years.
That is so true, Lily. Alright, everyone, so we have another guest coming to join us out here on stage, and of course, Lily and I know who it is, but you guys have no idea, right? So, we're going to give you some guesses. It's somebody that people are typically kind of scared of, but we think she's very sweet. A snake. That's right. So our next guest coming on the stage is one of our snakes. There she is. So this is Masala. Masala is our Burmese python. And right now you guys are noticing that Masala's a pretty small lady, but Burmese pythons are actually the top 5 largest snake species out there in the world. So she's going to get pretty big. And she has the ability to reach lengths of up to 23 feet and weigh up to 200 pounds. She's going to be a pretty big lady. And now snakes are really cool animals, and Burmese pythons are actually part of the constrictor family. So that means that she doesn't have any fangs. She does still have teeth in her mouth between 80 to 120. But if she's ready to go eat something, she'll go out, grab a hold of her prey, pull it all the way around them, squeeze them really tight, unhinge her flexible jaw, and swallow her prey completely whole, which is pretty cool if you ask me. I wish I could do that sometimes. And I have a few questions for everyone about snakes. Have any of you ever seen a snake blink? That's a trick question, because they actually can't blink. They don't have any eyelids to do so. They do still have an eye membrane that helps to cover